guys, Tim here from RVing Adventures with Tim and Mike. You know, over the past 18 years, Mike and I have owned many different recreational vehicles, from Class C to a Class A, and now this 26-foot Winnebago One travel trailer. And one thing that all of them have in common is we've had a blowout on every one of them. Now, a blowout on a Class A is quite an experience, and we had two on that vehicle. We had one on the Class C, and we've had two, I believe, on this 26-foot travel trailer. Now, one thing that contributed to those blowouts, we believe, is speed. It wasn't uncommon for us, when all three vehicles, to be traveling in excess of 70 and 75 miles an hour. So it's a good idea to follow the recommendations on your tire manufacturers, and that is don't exceed 60 miles an hour. One thing I want to do with this travel trailer is do an upgrade, and that's going to be, we're going to be installing a tire minder pressure monitoring system on this travel trailer to help us identify potential hazards before they happen. This tire minder will give us warnings if pressures exceed certain set points, or if temperatures exceed certain set points, or if the pressures drop rapidly over a set period of time. So today we're going to walk you through the install of this pressure monitoring system, and we're going to do a quick review after our first trip and see how we like it. So this is the tire minder pressure monitoring system that we ordered online. I got it from eBay. Got a pretty good deal on it from Amazon. It was like $165, and through WikiBuy I found it on eBay for $125, so I saved about $40. It's tire minder, and it's for a 4-tire system, so I'm going to be monitoring all 4 of my trailer tires. It's solar powered. It has wireless monitoring. Of course, it has a windshield mount. It says it takes 10 minutes to install. We're going to see about that today. Monitors up to 65 pounds. But we're going to install this on the trailer and in the truck today, and see how it works out. So this system comes with basically 3 components. The transmitter, which this will mount on the tongue up by the battery of the trailer. It comes with the monitoring system, which will mount on the windshield. It's solar powered, but it also has a USB connection, which I've got it connected up now. I'm charging it to make sure it's fully charged when we go to program it. So this will mount to the windshield in the truck, and then it has the 4 transmitters that go on each tire, and I don't know if you can set it or not. There's numbered specifically, so they have their individual identities. So the first thing we want to do is mount this transmitter according to the instructions on the tongue and hook it up. Then we'll install the batteries into each one of the transmitters, and then install the receiver in the truck and program it. So the recommendations for mounting this transmitter is to put it between the trailer and the tow vehicle, and for maximum reception it recommends mounting underneath the frame. So I'm going to mount this here, and the reason it recommends mounting underneath the frame, it says the signals are received easier because the transmitters on the tires will bounce the signal off the asphalt or the roadway and back up to the transmitter. So we're going to mount this transmitter right here. I'm going to use some zip ties, and I think I've got some self-drilling metal screws that I can run at least one through this hole into the frame, just for some insurance. Alright, one thing that I did notice on this receiver here, when I was looking for the self-tapping screw to go in this hole to see what size I needed, I noticed that that's not really that watertight. I don't know if you can see that gap in there, but that's a little concerning to me. I could not find those self-tapping screws that I thought I had, and I'm not going to worry about getting any. So I'm just going to tie wrap this thing to the frame like it recommends in the video of Tire Minder. But I'm also going to run a bead of silicone around the edge of this thing just to make sure it's watertight, because I don't want any problems down the road. Okay, so I've got the receiver strapped off there to the frame. It's hooked up to the battery, which is being indicated that it's got power by the green light there. It came with those two little white zip ties, but those are kind of weak, so I added an additional heavy-duty black zip tie that I had to the unit to help secure it. Also did that bead of silicone around the seam of the receiver to ensure that it doesn't leak water. The power is hooked up to the positive and negative post of the battery by alligator clips, and I'm a little concerned about whether those are going to ride or stay connected, so I'll probably end up getting some lugs that I can actually bolt down, connect those to the wires and bolt those lugs down to the posts. Okay, so the next step is to install these batteries into these receivers, and it said to note on there that you do want these one at a time, because you don't want to confuse these. See the numbers 1 and 2, and these are 3 and 4. You don't want to mix the caps up because they have identities. So there's not much to put in these batteries in. You just unscrew. It says negative down and positive up, negative down and positive up, and you just screw the cap back on. And you do that to all 4 of them. So these transmitters get screwed onto your valve stems, and I might mention here that I've read on some online forums that the valve stems work it's really best if you have the steel valve stems instead of the rubber, because even though these are small, the additional weight could cause those rubber ones, especially in the hot sun and heat, to sag and deteriorate faster. So the steel valve stems would work best with these receivers. It also comes with a pack of anti-theft nuts. So what you do is you screw these nuts down on your valve stem first, and then screw your transmitter onto your valve stem until they're just finger tight snug, and then run this back up against it, and it's supposed to make it anti-theft for honest people. So the next step is to turn this monitor on and set the baseline PSI readings. They want you to peel this protective film off the screen so you can see your actual numbers. Hold this down for 5 seconds till you hear a beep, and the default settings for the pressures are 36. So to raise and lower those, I run my tires at 60 pounds, so we want to raise that to 60. So 60 is off of that tire. You just hit this button again to raise the next one. $60. So you repeat that process till all 4 are set. Okay, I've got all 4 set at 60 pounds. You hold this button down for 5 more seconds, and that puts it back in the monitor mode. The next step is to actually go out to the trailer and install the transmitters. So we're going to go out there and install these on the tires, and we'll see how that goes. So as we mentioned earlier, these transmitters have individual identities, and they need to be put on the correct tire so that they show up properly on your monitor. So number one, which is the driver's side front tire, we put on first. Number two is the passenger side front tire, which we put on second, and so forth. So number one, we're going to put it on the, almost forgot my nuts. So the first thing you want to do is put your locking nut on there. And then you screw on your number one monitor, or transmitter, I'm sorry. Let's see if it showed up. Yep, so number one tire, front driver side, is reading 64 psi. So you want to take your little wrench and run that nut up against the transmitter, and that's supposed to keep it so that people can't steal it. I mean, if you wanted it bad enough, you could probably get it, but okay, so that's on there. So you want to do that to each one of your four tires. Okay, so now I've installed all of the transmitters on all my tires, and you'll see 64, 62, and that rear passenger tire appears to be a little bit low. It's at 56, and the other one's at 63. So all my readings are good, and it also gives you temperatures. So the final step is to mount the monitor to your truck windshield. It has Velcro strips that can glue to this 3M sticky pads also, but I'm just going to use the pads. I don't have a desire to use the Velcro. So there's the unit mounted. As you can see, it measures pressure and temperature. So overall, the installation of this tire minder system was fairly straightforward and simple. It gives several alarms, including a low pressure, a loss of pressure of 3 psi or more in less than 2 minutes, a pressure loss of 6 psi or more in 10 minutes, a pressure loss of 15% of your baseline pressure, a pressure increase of 20% of your baseline pressure, and an internal temperature at 167 and an internal temperature at 185. All those are the alarms that it gives. So it seems like a pretty good system. We'll know after we take the first trip with it, and we'll give an update of what we think about the system. So until the next time, thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification button. Follow us on Instagram at RVing Adventures with Tim and Mike. And until the next time, happy camping.